Welcome back to Mortal Kombat Deception.
Hey, I remember these from Mortal Kombat Legends.
Mythologies.
More like mythologies. Legends is the Scorpion, the two animated films, Jova.
Mortal Kombat Mythologies. I was thinking of a better thing for a bit.
Yeah,
there.
that's also another thing. We didn't mention this at the end of Deception, but apparently while we were commenting on it, the plot of the second official new Mortal Kombat animated movie that's about to come out seems to be also taking a bit of inspiration from it, since one of the goals in the synopsis is Scorpion collecting the Kamidogu in order to prevent the resurrection of the old one.
So they
Sub-Zero going to speak in protest. That's
so basically the filmmakers were all like, okay, you guys hate Shujinko, right? We'll have Scorpion do it instead, since he's not stupid.
Everyone loves
Weird. It's weird that they're doing it as early as the second movie, though. Unless what they're setting up is for Scorpion to take Shinjinko's place, and then it turns out Scorpion.
It actually makes sense.
He was chosen, but
the timeline is already different thanks to the first movie. Joe.
Yeah.
The trailer for the second movie has showcased characters who are not supposed to show up, like the Volca.
You're dead. Your family's dead. Your fucking pets are being skinned alive. I'm trying to think of that AVGN quote, but I forgot the full thing.
Okay, so yeah, my main point is like, well, the Scorpion Legends... I'm sorry. Mortal Kombat Legends timeline...
Yes.
Sorry.
So far, the gimmick of the Mortal Kombat Legends timeline seems to be to make adaptations off of the original timeline games.
With their own twist, yeah.
Not to mention, Jova, it actually does make sense to have Scorpion do it as the new... hold on, cutscene.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, a cloaked enemy.
In the shadows is the Predator from MKX.
I'm surprised we haven't gotten the Predator in a Mortal Kombat game.
MKX.
By the way, I said Armageddon at the beginning. I think I said Deception at the beginning. I think did I? I think it's Armageddon. Sorry.
Taven, the time has come for
so you're Jor-El.
to prove your worth to Adenia.
Taven, remember who you are. You must take your place in blah 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 blah.
Why am I supposed to care about this or anyone else?
Because we said so.
Taven looks very confused.
Let me just finish. Remember, Joe, in Deception, the actual real chosen warrior by the Elder Gods was actually Scorpion, as we saw in the climax of Deception. So basically, they're correcting that screw up. So it's actually a good way to go about it, actually.
Actually, I'm kind of surprised that Ed Boon didn't make Scorpion the new main hero after Liu Kang's death, all things considered.
Well, that was the end of him then.
It's Sektor!
Immediate evac.
Oh,
wow,
so what is he? What? Are our main characters dead already?
No,
just taking on the Lin Kuei ship.
He's prisoner.
Also, apparently it's very easy to take down a god or demigod or whatever.
In the meantime, Sektor became the new Grandmaster of the Lin Kuei, because remember, his father was the previous one.
Wait. It is a bit weird after seeing mostly, old historic buildings and the like, to all of a sudden be on a spaceship.
Well,
especially for the Lin Kuei.
That's the thing, Dwebs. In Mortal Kombat's Earthrealm, technology is far advanced compared to ours.
Well, no. Twinks has a point, though. The Lin Kuei never really used advanced technology, so where is this coming from?
That's because, when they started the robotization program, they became more technological instead of relying over ninjutsu.
Yeah, remember, in 2 and 3, we already had interdimensional portals and, like Teo said, robotification.
Also, roll credits.
So yeah, the big super duper sci-fi thing was already in the earlier games anyway.
Oh no! I get that, but I don't recall the Lin Kuei specifically wielding that technology. Is my point.
Well, technically, that doesn't contradict any.
Sector sites were a good indication of that, Jova. This feels like a natural evolution of that process.
I guess I can just chalk this up to one of many things that feels like they're just lumping into this plot.
Yeah, basically, because technically this doesn't contradict anything from previous games. It's just being added on. Technically, it doesn't contradict anything.
I mean, and you know what? I think maybe why this feels so sporadic is because, well, knowing that this is going to be the finale of the original timeline, it does feel like they're pretty much fitting everything
Yeah.
they can into it. And you know
They
what?
want to go off
I
of a
can't
bang, basically.
You know what? I can't entirely blame them. Problem is the foundation of the story. Again, I feel like, look, if you're gonna end this timeline, why not just have it be playing as Liu Kang? You know, the guy who it started with. Like, if you know you're gonna end it with the guy who started it. Or again, why not Scorpion? Like, again, that's the thing. Like, Ed Boon technically was the guy in charge at this point. So, was he afraid his bias would show too much if he suddenly made Scorpion the main good guy?
It depends, Jova. Sometimes Ed Boon does make note to try to restrain himself a bit and not have Scorpion be the center of attention all the time. But that's the thing. Most of the time, people don't even mind when he makes Scorpion the center of attention because Scorpion is just that awesome anyway.
Yeah, that's my point. It's like, well, I mean, if anything, Scorpion should have been the new main face of the series. Like, he kind of already was, but, you know, again, if you want to kill Liu Kang, Scorpion seems like the obvious candidate to have gone with.
It's with the reboot trilogy that it started. They started making it clear. Oh, okay, a new spell, Fireball, which does exactly what you just saw, basically.
Lovely.
In the reboot trilogy, Jova, Scorpion pretty much becomes the face of the series. In the cover for Mortal Kombat 9, it's Scorpion and Sub-Zero. In Mortal Kombat 10, it's just Scorpion, and in Mortal Kombat 11, it's also just Scorpion. So at this point, Scorpion is indeed the face of the franchise at this point.
Even though they're still insisting that Liu Kang is still the main hero, so honestly, here's what they should do: just make Scorpion and Liu Kang co-main protagonists of the series.
The thing is, Jova, Scorpion isn't exactly a team player. Not saying that.
No.
Like he's a loner.
You've seen it at its best in Scorpion's Revenge during that moment with Liu Kang, Sonya, and Johnny Cage, and that was like more of an exception. Even then, he only briefly teamed up with them.
So just make him the Batman of Mortal Kombat, then. The guy who begrudgingly works with, well, okay, I guess like more like the post.
Even, to spoil a bit ahead, in MK had to do to shenanigans, Scorpion actually gets reverted to his human form of Hanzo Hasashi. And even so, he's not exactly a team player either, and if anything, his actions fuck shit up more as a result. Though in 11, he gets to be a bit more of that, not much, but essentially gets a redemption arc.
It makes sense because at that point he's been resurrected as Hanzo Hasashi again, so of course he's going to be a lot happier and a lot more jolly by comparison. Not to mention both him and Sub-Zero in 10 made up and finally made peace between the Lin Kuei and the Shirai Ryu. So at that point it didn't make much sense to make him full grumpy anyway.
Again, one has to wonder, though, how much of a mess of things were made that, with the new timeline, it took only 3 games before they had to reboot stuff, whereas with the original timeline, it was 7 mainline ones.
That's the thing, Joe, but there's a lot more plot packed into these 3 reboot games than compared to the previous timeline. Remember, the story modes. Remember, the story modes are literally full-blown cutscene heavy. Story modes. There's a shit ton of cutscenes. There's a lot of plot packed in them.
Yeah.
So, question. I mean, okay, I'm more familiar with the Injustice Gods Among Us games. So, regarding the reboot Mortal Kombat games, would you say that the whole story thing, would you say that that was to the game's overall improvement, or their
I will argue so.
detriment?
Yes. I don't know. I have yet to play the Injustice.
And everything. It's still like an improvement of what the franchise has done until this point.
Yeah. And
nice to hear.
Yeah, and it's and like I said, like to give you an idea, Joe, Mortal Kombat 10 has actually my favorite all-time plot line in the entire franchise, involving Scorpion and Sub-Zero. Like, it's such a well executed. Both Scorpion and Sub-Zero are at their best in that game, basically.
Okay, so I'm familiar with some of the things that went wrong with the reboot trilogy, but I'm not entirely aware of the entire story of how things kind of just,
Basically, Jova, the first game, Mortal Kombat 9 is written trying to avoid the destiny of Armageddon that we now know, thanks to the original timeline, that this world is destined to perish eventually. Hold on, after this cutscene.
By jumping out of our parachutes.
I mean, I guess he doesn't have a better alternative.
Would you expect any other way?
Oh shit!
Oh, sorry, bro.
What?
He'll be fine.
Welcome back, Taven. You were away quite a long time. I was ambushed more than once.
By your father's holy men?
Hold on, Taven. I have to get the phone.
Abandoned the temple long ago. Warriors in red.
What is a phone?
This is not right. Something.
How do you not know? Like,
I am a dragon. Do I look like I can use one?
if you can go into the mortar realm, you should know what a phone is.
For the quest, apparently it's a race to fire
We're in the very, very far future. I guess phones are
We keep
irrelevant.
the consistency in Spain, Kombat with a K for everything.
Beautiful. What time are you guys at?
10:41, 42. Go to 11.
Okay. I'm at 10:40. No, wait. I'm at 10:50.
Okay, wait 10 seconds.
Isn't Mortal Kombat set in the future anyway?
It's a fictional version of our world. Let's just roll with it. Click.
There we go.
So maybe in this universe, phones are irrelevant because people have phones installed in their brains.
Honestly, Dibs.
No,
People use phones to.
Sonya tries to use it at multiple points.
Honestly, Dibs, I think that they're... Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I mean, Sonya did use a walkie-talkie in her ending. Well, her and the Jax and Jarek endings in Mortal Kombat 4. It's just in two of them she got distracted and she was thrown off a cliff.
Also, Dibs, you can just go back.
We have seen phones.
You can literally go back to the very first arcade game. People throwing fireballs, people throwing spears out of their hands. Mortal Kombat is not realistic, period.
Also, you want, if you really want anything else, Johnny Cage has a cell phone, not just in the games, but also in Legend Scorpion's Revenge.
But yeah, like I was saying, basically, Jova, the Raiden of this timeline, right at the end of Armageddon, sends a message to his alternate timeline self from MK1, alternate timeline, you know, that Armageddon is going to happen, and he sent him a message called "He must not win."
Actually, no, he must win.
Oh, sorry, he must win. Sorry, you're right. He must.
Of course, it has to be super cryptic and without having even mention. It's even worse when stuff like, say, the Exiles.
So basically, the entire game is Raiden trying to stop Armageddon from happening. The problem.
No, it's a one-part.
The problem, Jove, is that the timeline is operating on the Judgment Day is inevitable no matter what you do type of logic. So basically, eventually Armageddon will come. It will just come in a different way than it did in the original timeline.
So they pulled the Terminator free.
Well, to be fair, this unlike what Terminator 3 did, this game is Mortal Kombat has never established its own fate is inevitable rules or non-avoidable rules. Like, so technically, establishing that destiny is unavoidable in this universe is fine because technically it never contradicts anything. Fine, you're going for that logic. Fine, that's fine.
Well, that's my point, though. It's like with the reboot trilogy, the idea seemed like to evade that, but then all of a sudden they go, you know, oh no, it's inevitable. It's going to happen anyway. I do wonder if that may have happened due to some backlash with the reboot trilogy that I'm not aware of, and that's why they chose to reboot things again with 11.
Honestly, as a long-time fan, dating back all the way to 1992, and who only recently played through those 3 games, I actually think there's a lot more good in them than bad, to be honest. Oh, hey, Sonya.
Hey, it's Sonya.
You're alive, I see.
You've got some explaining to do. What are the Takunin?
The proportions of the model of Sonya are horrible. The head is so tiny compared to the body.
Fortunately, starting with the next game, the models will be a lot better.
First to the heart of the mountain, then to this frozen wilderness.
Because Mortal Kombat finally makes the HD jump after this.
What is Sektor?
In a sense, already versus DC Universe already improves a bit.
Oh, that's the one I'm talking about.
Oh, sorry.
You're hiding something. Comply or I'll be
How
forced
do
to
you...
bring you in for
Okay, lady, you just met this guy out in the blizzard, and it's not like he's even dressed like the Lin Kuei. A little bit profiling there. Oh, and we fight.
Yep.
Okay, it's not the best reason to start a fight, but then again, it's the Mortal Kombat universe, so...
Basically, Jova, one of the things about Mortal Kombat, and yes, I know that what I'm about to say may throw a flag, but listen all the way to what I'm saying. One of the things about Mortal Kombat 9 is subverting your expectations of the first 3 games. In a sense that, for example, instead of, you know how Smoke is the one that gets kidnapped and turned into a cyborg by the Lin Kuei, and Sub-Zero is the one that has to rescue him. In the new in Mortal Kombat 9, it's the opposite. It's Sub-Zero that gets captured and turned into a cyborg. So in the new timeline, Smoke remains human.
So
and I was first for finally seeing what it's always been kind of a fan speculation. What would Sub-Zero look like if he was roboticized? And now we know. So it's a nice touch, I will argue.
I do wonder, like, so what would you and Tio say was the main criticism that convinced the devs, okay, we need to reboot everything again with Mortal Kombat 11?
Depends on what who you're asking. Sonya Blade, you are of Taven strength, be on guard, stranger, I'll be watching you.
Yes. Sonya just backed away after that ass whooping.
It depends on who you ask, Jova. I'm personally fine with the more sad ending of MK9. Teo isn't. Teo prefers a happy ending. Well, I personally am fine with it because I thought it worked fine for what they were trying to do. It was meant to be a lost cause type of plot, you know.
Oh, I get that you like it. I'm just mainly asking, like, well, do you and Teo have an idea of what was the main source of the backlash that apparently convinced them?
I don't think it was so much
to be rebooted.
Well, Mortal Kombat 10.
Really,
Mortal Kombat 10 was well received, wasn't it too?
Not just that, even in terms of plot, Jova, the whole thing about rebooting everything at the end again in 11 came the fuck out of nowhere, if you ask me.
Well,
So,
Teo, that's the thing.
it was just
Let's
a
face it.
baffling maneuver.
Well, Teo, to be fair, cutscene.
It's weird how Sonya.
Well, technically that is true. Yes.
It's weird how Sonya apparently just backed off after the fight. Like, why not handle that with a cutscene? Like,
That's because Jova budget cuts.
also, is that all Sonya gets to do in this plot?
Basically, yeah.
Oof.
Again, the uncertain times that Midway and Mortal Kombat were going through does show in the games at this point.
It's okay. I get Mortal Kombat still at a formula, but again, though, like, I feel like there are better ways to treat an iconic character who's been around as long as Sonya is.
Oh, trust me, Jova. I genuinely believe that the developers did not do that by choice, because there's plenty of iconic characters in this plot, but they couldn't afford to have cutscenes for all of them, so they had to make some sacrifices begrudgingly. I get the feeling it was begrudgingly done.
I can get that semblance as well, but anyway, though, the thing about the reboot trilogy is, again, like, well, so what you're suggesting to you is like, well, the whole reboot thing was done out of nowhere. Like, there was no precedence to suggest that there was any backlash.
I was actually about to respond to that. Technically, when you get right down to it, by the end of 11, the plot has become pretty much about just as convoluted, if not more.
11, Pedro, like, you know, the marketing and everything did not suggest that they wanted to reboot things again by the end.
I guess, but hey, if it helps you, Jova, it allowed for Liu Kang to be the most gloriously awesome as he's ever been. So.
And he got to settle down with his love.
We have an epic. Well, that's the tower ending, kind of. But
yeah, I know it's non-canon now.
Well, that's the thing, Joe. As established even by John Tobias in 4, they always have this thing where they want to be together, but their duties prevent them from doing so. Basically.
Status quo and all that stuff. Like, look, like an anime, that stuff can get pretty old at some point.
What I was saying. Well, his hand just clipped for that thing.
Yeah, just by gently clipping into that.
I guess I'm just naturally confused, but hey, maybe the reboot trilogy will have like some conclusive ending, and it's just they want to reboot.
Oh no, it does.
again.
It does. Basically, Jova, don't worry. Me saying this out of context doesn't spoil anything. It literally ends with Liu Kang as a god, rebooting the entire timeline and meeting the original Kung Lao, and basically
Kung Lao,
starting the chain of events that will lead into, well, the entire storyline, basically. So apparently the original Kung Lao might be the protagonist next time. Maybe it's possible. Like the game doesn't. So it would be an interesting way. I would definitely like to see a game focused on the original Kung Lao. Definitely.
it really does make me wonder as to what. Okay, when they get back to the classic set of characters once again in the new timeline, like, how much are they going to change stuff up, or is it going to be
that we don't know.
Another take on the original stuff like the reboot trilogy started off as?
We're gonna have to wait till Mortal Kombat 12 comes out before we can.
Also, Ninja Medic.
Teo is convinced that right now they're making Injustice free, so we're gonna have to be waiting
At the
on.
very least, it's something different. We're probably not gonna have MK12 anytime soon.
Here's my stance on Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat is simultaneously one of the most crazy awesome, yet one of the most cockamania series I've seen with how they handle stuff. Like, whether they're practically at their knees and stuff, they pretty much fight like a fox in a backed corner and come out relatively fine. That being said, some of their decisions really do just weird me out, and like in some cases seem
Sure.
very hard to comprehend why they do this or that.
Again,
Yeah, having Striker in the next animated movie. I really wonder what we're
like
gonna
I
do
said,
with him.
like I said, I do
Because Striker was
believe.
in Mortal Kombat
3, yeah.
Like I said, I do believe it's possible to make him work as long as you change just enough so that you don't, you don't have the elephant in the room thing.
Would you say changing him requires going to the point where he's basically a different character? Just with
Not
the same-
completely.
It's,
I will still argue it should be okay to have cops characters in media. I get the elephant in the room.
Oh,
I
yeah.
do, but I still don't think the solution is to never have cops in media ever again. I feel like that's not the best solution.
Oh, I get that. But I mean, okay, aside from him being a cop, would you say that it's his character that needs to be changed?
Yeah, Striker has always been a lame character, but again,
That in 9, as you will see, Jova in 9 is also very brash, boastful, and his entire gimmick in terms of fighting by the character's own admission is actually police brutality.
yeah, that's why there's an elephant in the room that they need to address.
Basically, Jova, the only way I can actually properly show the character without making things awkward when it comes to recording 9 will be performing his fatalities onto himself, basically.
So, okay, they can still make him a cop. They can still make him a cop. Just please, for the love of God, avoid the elephant in the room.
I think the real problem, it sounds like, is that it sounds like he enjoys doing that from what you mentioned.
Which is why that
because-
part of this personality needs to go, basically.
Mostly because, it's mostly played for comedy, for the fact that he's single-minded, etc. and stuff.
Oh, played for comedy. Yikes.
That's the thing, Joe, but remember, he was invented in the 90s. It was a different time.
True, but remember,
Honestly, from what you've told me and from what I've seen, even back then, he wasn't one of the more popular.
Basically-
No, nobody ever liked him. Nobody.
basically, Jova, you wanna see at its tamest the Defenders of RM cartoon, basically.
Yeah, the Defenders of the cartoon is constantly making fun of him. Constantly.
Would you say that's technically his best portrayal, then?
Yeah, well, mostly, and that's because basically he's harmless there. He's
I
just
still-
dumb
I still-
and gets into trouble.
Sorry, go
It's a
ahead.
shame. It's a shame. It's a shame that in the Legends films they'll probably never recreate the amazing cutscenes of 4.
Well, depends to us. Maybe
you
the
really like
well,
those
depends to
things,
us. Maybe the third Legends film will cover 4. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah. Like how the hell are they gonna top? How the hell are they gonna top Jax's ending?
Maybe they'll have some kind of subtle visual homage to it. I can see that happening.
Besides, they could easily have him kill, what was his name?
Jarek.
Jarek.
Yeah.
They can have Jarek be
They
the
could easily
clown
have him kill
character.
Jarek, just-
Yeah.
Not only that, they could totally have Jack's issue as one-liner to Jarek. The only difference is that Sonya probably won't die in the movie version because, recurring character and all of that.
So they-
Wait, Joseph. If Jarek could somehow hold onto the cliff to kill Sonya, who's to say Sonya couldn't hold onto the cliff?
Yeah.
Well, that's my point, though, is that Sonya won't die. I didn't say that she won't get kicked off a cliff. My point is that, unlike in the original, as far as we knew, she won't die.
Also, Jova, let's face it, Mortal Kombat 4's cutscenes are kind of impossible not to love. So.
In a weird way.
How do we roll around with no one in it?
A
Yeah,
deal?
I think-
I'm not a god of my word, reptile. All deals are off!
Also, what kind of trap was that?
It's a video game too.
Genius, Tio. Nobody will think to walk around the path that they travel on.
In the middle of the snow, definitely.
It's a video game, and video games usually have obstacles too.
That I wouldn't mind, but make it themed for the level. It's about ice and everything. How about like ice stalagmites and everything, not that spinning blade thing.
Oh no, the hammer that will only hit me if I'm close enough to it. Who the hell even thought up these lame traps, and where did you guys come from?
Stop where you are.
Stop right there, criminals come.
The writer of this game, Jonah.
Now that's just
Wouldn't
rude.
that be more so the developer
And we're
technically
fighting
who plays them?
Gulai.
Ah, Scorpion's clan.
Basically, yeah.
Forget, do the Wulai and Lin Kuei still hate each other at this point?
Actually, no. Scorpion's clan Jove is the Shirai Ryu.
Shirai Ryu. Don't worry, Jovi. Mortal Kombat 10, you'll have a pretty awesome subplot where the two clans finally bury the hatchet.
And it even gets continued to an extent in MK11.
Yeah.
Damn, this guy is very resistant.
Let's make him a damage sponge.
My favorite kind of enemy.
No,
Yeah, there you go. Normal punches hurt him more than my super attacks.
I mean, I guess his armor is more resistant to those.
I guess.
It reminds me of a particular type of sci-fi setting, I forgot by which author, where it's justified in universe why using guns it's worse than actually a knife, that we'll mention later.
After I've already defeated your entire clan? How generous of you.
Okay, that was funny.
When I was told that you had attacked my men near the obelisk, I assumed you were with the other two outsiders we encountered. But clearly you're human. You must be
No,
Lin
he's
Kuei.
not.
I haven't the slightest idea what you're referring to. And what is a Lin Kuei?
The Lin Kuei are a rival clan of powerful warriors. You fight with such skill, I mistook you for one of their ranks. We Tengu have
So,
easy
essentially, if you
Lin Kuei,
fight
and
good,
avoid
they immediately assume you're part of the Lin Kuei.
They're just that. I guess they're.
At
I guess they're
at
pretty
this point,
stupid.
they're very popular.
is not far.
Or maybe they don't seem any good fighters.
The Lin
Wouldn't
Kuei
that have been awkward? Johnny Cage, you're a member of the Lin Kuei because you fight well.
I will be ready. Thank you for the information. You
How about
are
that one?
good.
Yay! Come on!
I love that final animation. You are free to go, and he throws his hand in the air. Never mind, I'll kill still.
Pedro, how could you?
Because this is Mortal Kombat.
Dang, he was letting you go and everything, dog.
I know, but I still felt like killing him.
But okay, Jovi, here's my counterpoint. We were literally just fighting them. For all we knew, as soon as we turned our back, he would have killed us.
Basically,
And considering they all just tried to kill us earlier, who's to say he wouldn't pull that? So anyway, we'll see you for the next part of Mortal Kombat Annihilation.
Armageddon.
Armageddon, where Pedro commits a fatality on me for getting the names mixed up.
Sure, why
Yeah.
not? See ya.